So our first speakers, it's a duo, are really very, very special. All our speakers this morning will share how their organizations are helping to accelerate getting to the future of EdTech faster through collaboration and leadership. That's the theme for this first set of speakers. The first two speakers are Bill Ballhaus, who's the chairman, CEO, and president of Blackboard, and Jack Suess, who's the vice president of IT and CIO for the basketball powerhouse, University of Maryland, Baltimore County. Jack also serves as the chair for the IMS Board of Directors and also the chair for EDUCAUSE. So he's a dual chair. That's pretty rare. It's pretty rare. Bill will share the role Blackboard intends to play in creating a more open EdTech ecosystem to support the diverse needs of institutions like UMBC. And together, Bill and Jack will share joint project based on Caliper to identify patterns in the effective student behavior to inform appropriate outreach to help students succeed. Please welcome Bill and Jack.
Before we start, let's have a big round of applause for Rob. Rob is an amazing person.
Jack, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling like that was a tough act to follow.
I'm used to following my president, and I thought he was the hardest to follow, but I think Rob is really sort of taking the lead here. I get to have the pleasure of introducing Bill Ballhaus, chairman and CEO of Blackboard. And I got an opportunity to meet Bill about 2 years ago. UMBC has been a longtime customer, 18 years with Blackboard. And as I was starting to look at what direction we wanted to go, we had the opportunity to come down to Washington and get a chance to meet with Bill and his leadership team. And one of the things that really struck me was that the EDUCAUSE NG-DLE publication that Rob talked about had been released about 6 months earlier. And it was clear from looking at the next-gen DLE activities that standards were going to be critical. And so one of the things that the conversation that we got to have with Bill and his team was I really wanted to understand what Blackboard was thinking about standards. Now, for Blackboard's credit, they've always been adhering to standards. They were one of the early ones in getting standards approved through IMS. But what I'd noticed is that they really hadn't been that involved with IMS in the 2013, 2014 timeframe. They sort of drifted off the map. And so one of the questions I had for Bill was, Bill, what do standards mean to you? And I was really pleased because Bill's background in aerospace and others, he saw standards as absolutely essential. And what he committed to me was that not only was Blackboard going to be a good partner when it came to standards, but he wanted Blackboard to be a leader when it came to standards, and he was going to make sure that his team has engaged with IMS. And I'm thrilled to thank you, Bill, for the fact that when I look around IMS, I see members of Blackboard actively engaged in all of the standards that are taking place that Rob's highlighted. And I think this is a great commitment that you've shown to IMS and to this group here. And so with that, it's my pleasure to turn this over to Bill and get your thoughts on where Blackboard's going.
Great, thanks, Jack. And first of all, I appreciate the kind words, and if I was really smart, I wouldn't say anything right now and just walk off the stage with that introduction. But it's a pleasure to be here with you, and in fact, I remember distinctly the meeting that we had, and I think it was about 2 years and 3 months ago. So I was a couple months into my role at Blackboard, and understanding the importance of our relationship and Jack's position, I knew this topic would come up in our conversation. I knew where Blackboard stood, but I wanted to make sure that I understood where I stood and my personal conviction around open architectures and standards. And so I dove in a little bit and started studying up on the next generation digital learning environment. And it didn't take me long looking into it to realize that this was a no-brainer. And as Jack mentioned, growing up as an aerospace engineer and also working in the intelligence community, where the importance of different information sources or different subsystems and modules working together because what's at stake really matters was very relevant. And I grew up in that environment. So when I gave Jack my answer about where Blackboard stood, it was underpinned by my personal conviction behind it. And I appreciate your words about our follow-through, because our goal is to be a partner with our clients to help them advance and meet their strategic objectives. And we know that we have to earn our seat at the table as your partner every day. So that follow-through and that conviction is part of our role as being a partner. So thank you for those words. I'm going to turn it back over to Jack in a second. But he mentioned a little bit about Blackboard's journey, and I wanted to advance the charts. I'm not sure if I'm doing it. There we go. And actually, Rob, this goes back about 20 years to your comments on the early days of the LMS. And as you know, Blackboard was founded in 1997. And since then, we've developed a broad portfolio of products, and we've grown a global footprint that looks like 16,000 clients in 90 different countries, and we have 100 million users touching our systems. And we're motivated every day to be the education community's partner in change and make a difference with institutions to meet their objectives and to get the benefits of our innovation, our products, and technology into their hands to make a difference in the lives of students, to drive student success, and help institutions meet their goals. And so as now we look forward, there are a couple areas when it comes to innovation and technology that we're really focused on right now in terms of advancing the broad education community. I thought I'd just mention two of those. The first is around providing a path for our current clients to the cloud and for the broad education community to have access to our modern and responsive Ultra experience. And this is something that we've had in works for many years now, and I'm really proud of the progress that we made, in particular since the time that we met, Jack, with you just over 2 years ago. First, starting with SaaS, we've made great progress. Now, the start of our journey wasn't totally smooth. We had some bumps in the road, which you could imagine, but we've worked very hard to advance our platform, advance its performance, and mature our processes. And today we have just under 350 clients that have made the journey to SaaS, just like UMBC, with a number that are behind them. And just as a testament to our rigor and how we've matured our processes, last year we were awarded Education Community Competency status by AWS as a testament to our ability to cloud host education solutions. So we're very proud of that. Also along the way, we've made great progress on Ultra, and we're actually making progress at an accelerating rate as I stand here today. We have 50 clients that have made the journey to Ultra and have it in full production, which is very exciting, and we love the benefits that they get to see. And I know you're planning in the fall to begin your pilots, which we're super excited about. We have 12,000 registered users today in Educator Preview, where they're experimenting and trying out the new Ultra experience. And we had just under 120 participants in our latest cohort. So we expect those numbers to continue to increase as our clients that have moved to SaaS move on to adopt Ultra. So that's one priority around innovation that we're bringing to the community and to our clients. The second, and this really gets into the discussion around open architecture and our support of standards and why we have such conviction around it. You know, one of our other priorities is to bring our broad suite of products and solutions and innovation to our clients. We know that with the types of challenges that our clients are facing today all around the world, an LMS alone isn't going to address those challenges. That's also a no-brainer. And so we're working to provide our products and our portfolio in a way where they're designed and architected to provide a connected experience, to provide access to data and from that insights in order to drive better outcomes, and in a way where our clients can implement very flexible, tailorable, and scalable solutions. And not only do we want our clients to adopt our products, but we know that they're going to work in a much broader ecosystem, and it's a priority for us that every one of our clients can evolve their digital ecosystem in a way that makes sense for them, so that they can adopt the innovations wherever they exist and plug them into their ecosystem and work with our products in a seamless way to meet their objectives around student success and institutional success. So it's that philosophy that really underpins our conviction behind open standards and the development, open architecture and the development of standards, and why we're so supportive of IMS. And we have a number of proof points that I think demonstrate our conviction in this area, and you can see them up on the chart. For Learn and Moodle, we have caliper implementations. We also have LTI and LTI Advantage. And in fact, Jack is going to talk in a second about one of those examples. But we also sit in a very interesting position where our products sit on both sides of these standards. So Learn will access a tool through LTI, and our Collaborate tool will get initiated through and access through LTI. So we really, in a deep way, appreciate the need to advance in this arena. And part of that conviction is not just our strategy with respect to our products, it's the engagement that you talked about. And since we've been together, we have our top leadership in the company engaged in IMS. We're active beyond the roles that you see in the screen in a number of working groups supporting IMS broadly, and we're very excited to do that. So, Jack, with that, I'll turn it back over to you. Rob gave a great introduction to Jack. I'll just say a couple words. First, we've been partnered for a long time, so we've had the opportunity to get very close up exposure to the work of Jack and his team, and they are absolutely world-renowned for their use of data and analytics to promote educational outcomes and student success. Last year, they were awarded a Blackboard Catalyst Award for their innovation and their excellence. In 2017, U.S. News and National Reports named them one of the top 5 innovative institutions in the country. And as you heard, they were very successful in March in pulling off something that had never happened before. What you may not know about is I think Jack was the only one at the campus who wasn't happy with that outcome because their website crashed after that victory in the tournament. So with that, Jack, I'll turn it back over to you.
You want to give me this? Thank you, Bill. Yeah, that's a story, the website. Let's see. Which one advances?
Yeah, it took me a while too. It's
that one. Okay.
That one right
The
there.
one, the big green one.
It's the big green arrow that says push me.
So I get the pleasure of talking about one of our experiments that we did. And I want to first start by just thanking the team that I have at UMBC. It's led by John Fritz. John's the Associate Vice President for Instructional Technology. John's been a thought leader in learning analytics and giving student agency to use their data for years. And in fact, the collaboration with learning analytics goes back to we were working with a partner company to help build the first learning analytics, and then Blackboard bought them to be their learning analytics suite in 2010, I believe. And so we've had a long relationship in working with Blackboard. What we want to talk about is the fact that we know a lot of you here are interested in student success. And one of the things that we've gleaned, we've worked with Civitas, we've worked with a number of companies, but one of the things that comes out from the data is that student persistence is really the LMS is a key variable, that students who are actively engaged in courses are likely to come back for the next semester. Doesn't seem like that's a difficult thing to understand, but often being able to identify are students actively engaged in a class is an interesting topic. And so one of the things that we've started to do is work with Blackboard around products like their new Blackboard Predict. And so we were really thrilled to be using Blackboard Predict in our introductory classes to be seeing, could we use Blackboard Predict to tell us whether or not students were at risk before they took their first exam? By looking at some information before they start the class, by seeing how active they are in the class, we thought we could get a prediction that would be fairly accurate. And what we were able to see is that that prediction does a pretty good job for week 4 if the faculty member is using the LMS in a way that really provides a lot of interaction. One of the pieces that we noticed in some of our classes, though, is as we've gone to electronic textbooks, often the students are doing most of their work in electronic textbooks. And so we began to have a project with VitalSource where we were going to be working with them to see what was happening in our electronic textbooks activity and look at whether or not we could potentially integrate that data back into the LMS. Lo and behold, just as we were getting ready to start, Blackboard and VitalSource announced a project, a joint effort, where they were going to be using Caliper to be integrating the data from VitalSource into Blackboard analytics for SAS. And so we ended up doing a project. My colleague John worked with Blackboard and VitalSource over this. And one of the things that you're seeing right here is, oh, let me move to the next slide. So one of the things that we ended up seeing is this is a tough graph to sort of look at, but on the right-hand side for you, you see a waterfall diagram. What that ended up showing is students who were active in the LMS and the electronic textbook ended up doing better in the class. Now, off of face value, that seems fairly intuitive. The problem that's been there for years is how do you know if a student is using a regular textbook? You really can't. Now that we're starting to go to electronic textbooks and we can begin to get data out of those textbooks to see what students are actually doing, it opens up all sorts of new possibilities to begin thinking about this. And so this was just something where we ended up demonstrating that, in fact, yes, it does make a difference. This next area was one where John and the research team at Blackboard began looking at this, and what we really wanted to see is if you're using both, does it seem to make a difference for students? And what we were able to show, the left-hand side shows students that weren't using the textbook very effectively, and the right-hand side shows students that were. The big difference that ends up happening in that is for students that came into this physics class with a lower GPA. If they were actively engaged, if they were using the textbook throughout the course, what we ended up seeing is that they had a much higher likelihood of passing the course. And being able to sort of glean this data really helps us start to have the conversations with faculty around how can we make sure that students are using the textbook? How do we help you design pedagogy to be able to move forward? These kind of tools that we're able to start doing now are just the very beginning of where we hope to be going as we move forward. And I think it speaks to what Rob's talking about in how do we do personalized learning and how do we use data to be able to inform how we teach and how we engage with students. And I'm really thrilled that we're able to partner with you on this, Bill.
Yeah, we are too, Jack. And obviously this is outstanding work by you and your team. It also reflects kind of our strategy broadly around partnering with our clients, bringing multiple products to that equation in a way in which they can work with sources of innovation throughout their ecosystem to make a difference in the lives of students.
And so I'm hoping that next year when we come back here, we'll be one of those places like Michigan or Kentucky where we're talking about the millions of events that we're streaming daily into Caliper and being able to sort of leverage this through our relationship with Blackboard. So thank you.
Thank you.